Welcome to Old Guy Talks to Me, a podcast dedicated to helping guys create kick-ass lives for themselves and those that they love. Ladies, if you want to know what your guy is thinking, this podcast is for women too. Each week, a special guest helps you create that life you've imagined. We talk anti-aging medicine, personal growth, relationships and hot sex. Yeah, you hear me, getting laid more frequently. Other guy vices, and topics that many don't want to talk about but need to. Just because you're getting older doesn't mean you have to be old. Don't want to miss anything? Be sure to subscribe, share, rate, and review this podcast. And be sure to go to www.thestandard.academy/magazine and grab a free copy of our new digital magazine, The Standard Academy, where we talk about erogenous zones, growing hair back, and other things that will help you create that kick-ass life. Now get ready to listen up and share with friends.
This is Oris, the old guy from www.oldguytalks.com, a podcast dedicated to helping older guys create kick-ass lives for themselves and those that they love. And part of that has to do with sex. And today I'm very fortunate to have a sex expert, Dr. Ava Cadell, and she's the president of Loveology University and Ketones Incorporated. She's known as the Martha Stewart of love and sex. And she has quite a reputation. She's got lots of books that she's written in, instructional videos, worldwide seminars, lots of products that she's developed. And she helps people find and maintain passion in their love and their relationships. She's got lots of books, Neurolovology, The Power of Mindful Love, and also has been endorsed by Dr. John Gray, the author of Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. And she's also written many books and has quite a number of been in a number of magazines, and was also a sex columnist for Penthouse magazine, where she produced instructional videos called Sex Academy, and also is the inventor of the Trigasm vibrator. So we can talk, we'll get to that one too. She's also had recent television appearances and has been on shows like Kendra on Top, Gigi Does It, and other shows, and also has been featured in the Huffington Post, Marie Claire, Cosmopolitan, Men's Health, Women's Health, and many more. She's graduated from Newport University and also has a doctorate in advanced study of human sexuality. And also for philanthropy, she works with an organization called Ahead with Horses, where it's a charity that takes children with disabilities through a complex series of movements while on horses, which sounds kind of a very interesting way of doing therapy. So I want to thank you. I want to thank you for coming on the program, because you are a busy lady. As I was checking out, as I was kind of doing my research and preparing for this interview, and found out you have a lot of stuff out there, and so a lot of it's very interesting.
All under the same umbrella, though. You know, it's all about helping people. Yeah.
Exactly. So let me ask you, how did you get into this space of sex and love and relationships?
So a couple of ways. I was raised by nuns, very strict nuns who, programmed me with negative thoughts about sex and masturbation and all that stuff. So I grew up a very confused teenager and had unhealthy relationships as a young woman. So I think that was my initial catalyst. And then I was an actress for quite a while, doing a lot of TV shows and movies, and I got my own show on the Playboy channel where I would interview adult stars and I would review films. And I got a lot of fan mail asking me sex questions, because men especially, they think that if a woman is sexy, she knows everything about sex, which is not true at all. But I wanted to help all these men. I thought, wow, I wish I could answer them with positive, accurate information instead of just shooting from the hip. So I decided to go back to school at the Institute for the Advanced Study of Human Sexuality in San Francisco, which is where I got my sexologist degree. And then I I just took off from there. I started writing books and doing seminars all over the world, and just really loved the career that I had created for myself.
Okay.
In a nutshell.
In the time that you've been talking to people about improving their sex and their relationship and their love relationships, how has it, or has sex changed? Have the relationships changed over the last 20 years or last 30 years or so?
I think there's been many changes with regards to human sexuality and safer sex and tech sex. So, yeah, it's our job to keep on top of everything that's going on. And the only thing that's always remained the same is that it doesn't matter where you are in the world, what kind of background you have, what religion or orientation you are. Everybody wants to be loved. And everybody wants to be a good lover. Mm-hmm. So those two stay firmly the same. And that's why I've been so lucky to travel around the world lecturing to people in different nationalities. But yes, one has to be very aware of laws and of manners, when you go to a different country, and to look up their rights and all that stuff. Some countries still have arranged marriages. Some countries, not even countries, religions, like when I lecture for the Mormons, I'm not allowed to talk about the therapeutic value of pornography. I'm not allowed to talk about fantasizing about anybody other than their partner. But I can talk about anything else. It can be anal sex, it can be fetishes, sex toys, anything except for those two taboos. So it's really fascinating.
That is. That's kind of an interesting set of restrictions that it doesn't seem, I mean, in the world of things, it doesn't seem like it's a lot in terms of, because you can go you can spend a lot of time on all the other things. Why is it important to learn how to give and receive love? Why would you say that's an important thing for people to know how to do?
I think that, in my humble opinion, it's the meaning of life. I think the reason we're here is to learn how to give and receive love, but nobody teaches us that. And that's why I started my own online university, Loveology University,
right,
to help people find love themselves, and then learn how to give and receive love in a healthy manner, where they make love a priority. Because in the end, just before we die, and I saw my late husband die, and so I know that you're not going to be thinking about the money you have in the bank or your career or pretty much anything other than love. The memories that are in your brain that are the last to go when you die, they're in the limbic brain, and those memories that have really impacted your life will still be there. So I think it's important for us as human beings to focus on that rather than a lot of silliness,
Yeah. There's a lot of in your therapy, you talk about some of the things like personal issues that affect people's relationships and love and sex, fear of intimacy, lack of communication, and lack of desire. Can you talk a little bit about those three things?
Sure. So I'm an ASEX certified sex counselor, and I find that couples come to me when they're in crisis because they haven't shared their boundaries, their deal breakers, and so they've been violated. So problems usually have some kind of breakdown when it comes to communication. Communication is everything. It's like having a car, but there's no gas in it, and it's not even electric. So you still have a car, but it's not going anywhere. So if you're in a relationship and you don't discuss whose sex drive is, higher than the other person, or when do you like to have sex? When do I like to have sex? Those physical boundaries that include kissing in public, for example, or sexual boundaries like watching porn together or fantasizing about threesomes, or there's so much to discuss that can help the relationship thrive. Mm-hmm. But people don't know that. That was another reason that I created this 300-hour curriculum of Loveology University so that couples could find their way and so that their love could grow together rather than grow apart. And sex, I think sex is really important. For me, it's like 50% of a relationship. However, it changes. Like when my husband was dying, we didn't have sex. He had cancer, he was in pain, but we had a lot of intimacy. We had so much intimacy that we even renewed our vows 2 weeks before he passed away. So sex changes all the time. And now with what the world is going through, with all the stress of the pandemic, there's a lot of couples who are not having sex because they're worrying about money. They're worrying about their children, their families. Some of them are getting sick. So we have to help people based upon their foundation. And for that, I give every couple the same homework, or love work as I call it. Before they come in, I say, I want you each to write down the things you love about each other, and then to write down the things you want to improve in the relationship, and then write down the deal breakers. And they have to do this separately. So when they come into my office, they read this list to each other. And it's very emotional. And as an observer, I can tell what foundation they have. I can tell whether they respect each other, if they're really good friends, if they have passion, empathy, all that stuff.
Yeah. I think that's, you said something at the beginning of this about renewing your vows with your husband just a few weeks before he passed away. That must have been a very, very intimate moment.
Well, it was very emotional, and we had all our friends there at the same time. Mm-hmm. So it was an event. It was beautiful. It was his birthday, and we had a friend of mine do it who was a comedian and a minister. So it was really special.
Yeah. That sounds like a special, and I'm sure that you have a special memory of that you think about think about probably on a regular basis. You go back to.
Yeah, and I recommend it for other couples. One of the people doesn't have to be fatally ill, but this is a good time to do that. I mean, weddings are being called off, big weddings, so people are having small, intimate weddings, and I think that if you are in love right now, it's a good time to renew your vows with each other.
I actually think that is a real important thing, and we, my wife and I did that on our 25th wedding anniversary.
Lovely.
Yeah, so we did that, and it was very nice because we had our kids there, we had our we had some of our family was there, but it was a very special moment to just when we had a party afterwards, but we did the thing in church prior to that. And that was a special occasion. I'll always remember it.
You will always remember it, absolutely.
Yeah.
Men, are you in a little or no sex marriage? Are you frustrated with hearing, "I'm not in the mood," or "I'm too tired"? If this is your reality, then get on a short, confidential call with Dr. Orist by going to www.thestandard.academy/activation call. There is hope if you take action. Know that no matter how bad things are, they can get worse.
So, are sex issues and concerns different for older people than younger people, or how does sex change as we get older?
Yes, it's different. I believe that sex gets better as you get older because you lose your inhibitions and you know what you want, what you like, what you don't like. You're generally a better communicator. So I think sex does get better. And it's kind of a cruel joke of nature because when you're young and you look really good, that's when you have all your inhibitions and your insecurities. And then when you get older, your body doesn't look quite as good as it did, but you don't really care anymore. You have so much wisdom that I think, I often say that sex has no expiration date. And as long as you're with the right person, I think it can be better than ever. I had one client who was 80, and she had a boyfriend and said she had the best sex of her life at 80. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, issues change. I mean, there's definitely issues with some men who need a little help maintaining their erection. And I think that anything that can enhance sex is good, whether they're topical solutions, whether they're prostaglandin injections, whether they're pills, as long as you are healthy enough to take them, you know, Cialis and Viagra and Levitra. They're magic pills. But I do recommend seeing a physician first to make sure you don't have any heart issues or anything else that could be dangerous, because it affects the entire system. And then women, the biggest problem that women have is dryness, which is a very easy solution. Some women do lose their libido, their desire, and they are often prescribed testosterone and other solutions, not quite as many as men have. In fact, I was on MSNBC many years ago, talking about a very interesting research that the NIH was doing on women's orgasms. And the host was on with me, and so was a politician. The politician's name was Flake. His last name is Flake. And they were both yelling at me and ganging up on me, saying Larry Flint should be paying for these research studies on women having orgasms. And Larry Flint is actually a friend of mine who I really do admire as a businessman and a man of great strength, emotionally and physically. So I said to them, I said, listen, why is it okay that the government pays for research for men, but not for women? Mm-hmm. It's grossly unfair. And I said, women who can't have an orgasm, once they learn how to have an orgasm, it improves the whole quality of their lives. It's not just sex. It's everything.
Sure.
I was trying to really get them to understand the value and the equality that we need in both male and female sexual research. Mm-hmm. So I do remember that. It was quite amusing. I won't let somebody intimidate me on TV when I talk about these things. It's important to stand your ground.
Well, I think also you, more likely than not, on this topic, you are probably the most knowledgeable person in the room.
I was. And these were obviously male chauvinists who didn't care about a woman's orgasm.
Yeah. I'm sure that like I said, I'm sure you're probably the most knowledgeable person in the room. It'd be incredibly unusual room where you would not be, but there would not be a room where you would not be one of the most knowledgeable people in the room, but certainly not with a few politicians. It's kind of interesting because you bring up the whole challenges of sex as you get elderly, and it's a shame because there's like for males now there's so many different therapies for erectile dysfunction, which is really kind of the biggest thing that older men face. That it's a shame that people are so reticent to go and find out these answers, and I would encourage people actually to go. I mean, it's just there's tons of resources out there that weren't available actually 5 years ago.
Thank you for joining Dr. Orist and his incredible guests. Like what you heard and learned? Then be sure to do 3 things. 1. Subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. 2. Share this with someone who may need to hear it. 3. Leave a review and rate this podcast. Opt in at www.thestandard.academy/magazine and get our free digital magazine with savings, articles, and deeper dives into cool controversy. Be the guy who takes action. Without action, you're not going to get the results you want. Thank you again, and make it a great day.